Kolkata, 1933. A city teeming with life, yet shrouded in shadows. The streets were alive with the sounds of vendors calling out their wares, the clatter of rickshaws, and the chatter of people going about their daily lives. But beneath this vibrant surface, there was an undercurrent of tension, a sense of foreboding that hung in the air. A city of vibrant life. The markets were a riot of colors and sounds, with stalls overflowing with fruits, vegetables, spices, and textiles. People from all walks of life mingled here, from wealthy merchants to humble laborers. The air was thick with the scent of spices and the sound of haggling. A city of dark secrets. The narrow alleyways and shadowy streets held stories of their own. Stories of betrayal, of love lost and found, of dreams shattered and rebuilt. It was a city where the past and the present coexisted, where the old ways met the new. The air hung heavy with humidity, the scent of spices, and a growing sense of unease. The monsoon season had just ended, leaving the city drenched and the streets muddy. The people of Kolkata were used to this, but there was something different this time, a sense of anticipation, of something about to happen. The year was 1933. The world was in the grip of the Great Depression, and India was no exception. The economic hardship was felt by everyone, from the poorest laborer to the wealthiest landowner. But in Kolkata, life went on. The city had a resilience, a spirit that refused to be broken. Amarendra Chandra Pandey, a wealthy young landowner, arrived at Howrah station. He was a man of means, with a sprawling estate and a thriving business. But he was also a man with enemies who envied his success and coveted his wealth. He was returning from a business trip, a trip that had been successful but also exhausting. He looked forward to returning home, to the comfort of his family and the familiarity of his surroundings. Little did he know that his homecoming would be anything but peaceful. He had no idea that he was walking into a deadly trap, a trap that had been carefully laid out by someone he trusted, someone who had been biding their time, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. A trap set by a brother, motivated by envy, fueled by greed. Amarendra's brother had always been jealous of his success, resentful of his wealth. And now, he saw an opportunity to take it all for himself. The stage was set for a confrontation that would change their lives forever. Amarendra was a man of the people, beloved in his hometown of Pakur. He was known for his generosity, his fairness, his infectious smile. Whispers followed him through the crowded station, whispers of admiration, whispers of respect. But on this day, a different kind of whisper slithered through the crowd, a whisper of malice, a whisper of death. Binayendra Chandra Pandey, Amarendra's half-brother, seethed. He watched from the shadows. Resentment gnawed at him, resentment of Amarendra's wealth, resentment of Amarendra's popularity. Theirs was a rivalry as old as time. Cain and Abel, one brother blessed, the other cursed with envy. Binayendra craved what Amarendra had. He wanted it all, and he was willing to kill for it. Taranath Bhattacharya, a friend of Binayendra, lurked in the background. A man of dubious morals, a man with connections. He had promised Binayendra a solution, a permanent solution, the weapon, an invisible one, silent, deadly, a weapon that whispered of unimaginable suffering. They called it the plague. The assassin was just a face in the crowd. He brushed past Amarendra. A prick, a slight sting, a small, almost unnoticeable puncture wound. Amarendra thought nothing of it. Not at first. He continued on his way, unaware that the hand of death had already touched him, unaware that a silent killer now coursed through his veins. Section 6. A city shrouded in fear. Days later, Amarendra lay dying, burning with fever, his lungs filled with fluid. Doctors were baffled. They diagnosed it as pneumonia, but the treatments failed. The newspapers hinted at something more sinister. Whispers of a new and terrifying disease spread through the city. Fear, panic. Kolkata held its breath. Section 7. The wheels of justice turn slowly. The police investigation was slow, methodical. Inspector Satyendra Nath Banerjee, a man known for his sharp mind and unwavering determination, took the case. He refused to believe this was a simple death. He followed the trail of clues, witness testimonies, travel documents. The whispers led him to Binayendra, and to a conspiracy more chilling than he could have imagined. Section 8. The Trial, Truth and Lies. The trial of Binayendra Chandra Pandey captivated the city. The courtroom was packed. People from all walks of life gathered, their eyes glued to the proceedings. The case had become a spectacle, a grim theatre where the stakes were life and death. The media frenzy outside the courthouse only added to the drama, with reporters jostling for the best spot to capture every moment. The air crackled with tension. Every whisper, every rustle of paper seemed amplified in the hushed silence. Spectators held their breath, their faces etched with anxiety and anticipation. The weight of the moment was palpable, as if the very walls of the courtroom were closing in. The prosecution presented its case. They painted a vivid picture of a man driven by jealousy and greed, a man who had meticulously planned and executed a cold-blooded murder. The prosecutor's voice was steady, each word carefully chosen to drive home the gravity of the crime. A story of jealousy, greed, and cold-blooded murder. The narrative was compelling, almost cinematic in its intensity. The prosecutor wove a tale that left the jury and spectators alike on the edge of their seats, hanging on every word. The defense argued for mercy. They portrayed Binayendra as a man who had lost his way, a man who deserved a second chance. The defense lawyer's voice quivered with emotion, appealing to the jury's sense of compassion and humanity. But the evidence was overwhelming. Photographs, forensic reports, and witness testimonies all pointed to Binayendra's guilt. The defense's pleas seemed to falter under the weight of the damning evidence. The jury returned a guilty verdict. The room erupted in a mix of gasps and murmurs. Some spectators nodded in agreement, while others looked on in shock. The decision was final, and the reality of it began to sink in. Binayendra was sentenced to death. The judge's voice was firm, leaving no room for doubt. The sentence was a culmination of weeks of intense legal battles and emotional turmoil. Justice, it seemed, had prevailed, but the whispers continued. Even as the gavel struck, signaling the end of the trial, questions lingered. Was justice truly served, or was there more to the story than met the eye? The courtroom emptied, but the echoes of the trial would resonate for a long time to come. Section 9. A Legacy of Unanswered Questions. The case of Amarendra Chandra Pandey sent shockwaves through India. It was a time when the country was grappling with its identity, caught between colonial rule and the burgeoning desire for independence. The trial of Amarendra, accused of using a bioweapon to commit murder, was unprecedented. The newspapers were filled with sensational headlines, and the public was both horrified and fascinated by the details that emerged. The streets of Kolkata buzzed with conversations about the case, and it seemed that everyone had an opinion on the matter. It was a stark reminder of the darkness that can lurk in the human heart. The trial revealed a web of deceit, betrayal, and ambition that shocked even the most jaded observers. Amarendra's actions were not just a crime against an individual, but a crime against humanity. The use of a bioweapon was something that had never been seen before, and it raised questions about the lengths to which people would go to achieve their goals. The fear and shock were palpable, and the case left an indelible mark on the collective consciousness of the nation. A reminder that even in the bustling heart of a city, evil can find its mark. But some questions remained. The trial answered many questions, but it also left many unanswered. How did Amarendra come into possession of such a deadly weapon? Who were his accomplices, and what were their motives? The bustling streets of Kolkata, with their vibrant energy and constant activity, seemed to hide dark secrets. The case was a stark reminder that beneath the surface of everyday life, there can be hidden currents of malevolence and danger. How did Vinayendra acquire such a deadly weapon? The laboratory where the bioweapon was allegedly developed was a place of mystery and intrigue. The equipment, though antiquated by today's standards, was state-of-the-art at the time. The scientists who worked there were pioneers in their field, pushing the boundaries of what was possible. But with innovation came risk, and the potential for misuse was always present. The question of how Vinayendra acquired the bioweapon was one that haunted investigators and the public alike. It was a puzzle that seemed to have no solution, a mystery that defied explanation. Was Taranath ever brought to justice for his role in the conspiracy? Taranath, a shadowy figure who was believed to be a key player in the conspiracy, remained an enigma. His involvement was suspected but never proven, and he seemed to slip through the cracks of the justice system. The courtroom sketches from the time show a man who was confident and unrepentant, a man who believed he was untouchable. The scales of justice, however, are not always balanced, and Taranath's fate remains one of the many unanswered questions in this dark chapter of history. The answers, lost to time, whispered through the streets of Kolkata. The narrow, foggy streets of the city seemed to hold the secrets of the past, whispering them to those who cared to listen. The architecture, with its blend of colonial and indigenous styles, stood as a silent witness to the events that had unfolded. The people, going about their daily lives, carried with them the weight of history, even if they were not always aware of it. The answers to the questions raised by the case of Amarendra Chandra Pandey may never be fully known, but they continue to haunt the collective memory of the city, a chilling reminder of the first bacterial murder. The eerie photographs of old buildings and crime scenes serve as a chilling reminder of the first bacterial murder. The dark, foggy streets at night evoke a sense of unease, a feeling that something sinister is lurking just out of sight. The case of Amarendra Chandra Pandey is a stark reminder of the potential for evil that exists within humanity and the lengths to which some will go to achieve their ends. It is a legacy of unanswered questions, a dark chapter in history that continues to resonate to this day.